Hi there, Victor Frost speaking to you. Today I'm going to be talking about the issue of property rights. There's been a debate between what is called the anarcho-capitalists and the anarcho-communists, and one of the major issues where there is a divide in a school of thought, that being anarchism, between the anarcho-communists and anarcho-capitalists on the issue of property rights is a major divide. And I'm here to put it, although I quite understand that the word capitalism or capitalists has been largely loaded with a lot of negative connotations and just out-and-out right philosophical mistakes, dealing with an epistemological nature and dealing with in the definitions and whatnot. But that's a video or an argument to make in another video. Today, for this video, I just want to break some ground and get it all fertile and for discussion, and just to cover some very simple basics, or just one simple basic from which a dialogue could spring. Where I stand on the issue of property rights. Now, the argument I was going to advance is not so terribly unique to me, not at all, but it is one that makes the most sense, is logically consistent with the non-aggression principle, of which I accept, and for which the anarcho-communists themselves say that they accept. And however, they just broaden the definition of what constitutes force and aggression, whereas for myself and other anarcho-capitalists, the definition of force is very specific and limited. It doesn't go on to include that if somebody is asserting aggression against you, if you're selling a loaf of bread and you want to buy it but you haven't got the right money, or a prospective employer could very well hire you, but decides to hire, some nepotism is going on, decides to hire somebody within the family, some kind of force is being used against you, or aggression, or whatever. I mean, they expand the definition of force, where for myself, it's just a simple case of force constitutes this, the gun. It's physical. Physical force is the thing that violates the non-aggression principle. And other forms of aggression, whether it be verbal abuse or exploitation, even in the Marxist sense. I'm not arguing and saying that's all good, but the trouble is though that to the anarcho-communists, when wanting to address the societal ills as they would conceive them, do not hesitate, it seems to me, to exert or to advocate the use of physical force as a necessity to correct what they perceive to be societal ills. Of course, they don't out and out come out and say that, yes, we must use force to correct that. There's a lot of slippery language, and they're trying to nevertheless tuck it in there, all garnished up and dressed up, and there's a lot of obfuscation and evasion and snarling words and pushing buttons and things like that. But for the issue of property rights and what they consider to be, highly exploitive, and the using force against people is on the issue of property rights, that's the major divide. So what I'm going to address in this video is simply the cases that what property rights derives from. The whole conception. You remember that philosophy or knowledge is hierarchical. There's no such thing as discussing concepts that don't rely on lower level concepts. Like, you can't talk about forest without having any knowledge of trees. A collection of trees as an aggregate in a focused, concentrated area, would be called a forest. And so you cannot talk about property rights as if it was some kind of floating abstraction that doesn't rest on lower level concepts or other derivative concepts upon which it rests. And what that rests upon, the concept of property rights, is the fact that you own yourself. You own yourself. You are in charge and responsible for your actions. Your body, your physical being belongs to you. You are a mind encased in this flesh, and it's the issue of self-ownership. So if you are responsible for your actions, this rests on other philosophical concepts such as responsibility, free will, and the non-aggression principle comes at hand as well. So that when you harm other people, you are violating their person, especially when it's physical force. So you own yourself. The issue here for the anarcho-capitalist is self-ownership. Okay, so you are and for all that means. So in other words, you are the owner and responsible for your actions, for what you do with your body. If you get drunk and step into a car and you hurt somebody, you are responsible for the injuries that person has incurred. Or if you have killed them, then again you are responsible for your actions. Now this goes on to another realm. I don't think that any anarcho-communist would argue against that. You know, like, yeah, you're held responsible. Okay, it's you are accountable for your actions. Okay, it's not like if you step into that car and you hurt somebody else, the guy down the street who doesn't even own a car. It's not like he's responsible. Where do you focus the blame? The whole system is set up in that way, in a very acknowledges that much. You know, the courts and whatnot, and the police. We do have a recognition of who's responsible for their actions, and the individual is. Okay, so it's just that when the state enters into it, of course, it becomes an upside-down world where everything that they decree as immoral or illegal, that they're the first persons to violate that very principle. You know, don't steal, but the government can do it. I mean, it's an upside-down world of wacky, bizarre, funhouse mirror contradictions. But at least there's that much that's been established, that you are responsible for your actions because you own yourself, and so therefore that also extends off into other areas as well. That here we are born into this world. We are responsible for our actions. We are responsible for our well-being and maintaining our life. So therefore, it's just the fact of life that to sustain our life, to sustain a certain amount of comfort, material comfort, and the pursuit of our happiness, psychological, emotional responsibilities that we also have, that's incumbent upon us by the laws or the nature of reality, whatever you want to call it, is that life is thought and action. You have to work to maintain your life. It's not something that's imposed upon you by the evil capitalists or by other people. It's whatever means that you have, whether it's some kind of tribal society or Quaker society or advanced industrial civilization. You basically you have to work to some extent, or carry out actions as your mind conceives, transmit that knowledge that you have, and to your body, to your hands, and do whatever you have to do. Till the soil, weave the clothes, kill the food to eat it, fishing, or whatever you have to do, you are responsible for your actions. So that means that there's a direct link to surviving and working to that which yields from your results, from your efforts. And whether that is something that you've done outright for yourself, like just if you're on a self-sustaining farm and all your actions cater to your well-being, to sustain your life, to make the land hospitable to survival, you are the owner of the results of your efforts, of your actions. That's direct link between ethics and the fact that you have to, that life is thought and action. You have to transmit your knowledge, such as it is, to the physical realm to achieve any goal of sustaining your life. You have to act in the world, and so those things that you produce, and also in fact with trade with others, that you are the owner. So if you have a strip of land, it belong to the people, and it doesn't belong to you. Land is just so much vacuous, empty space with untapped resources that's embedded into the that strip of land, and but it's the work that you do, whether you build a house or harvest the food. You are the owner of all those results, and you're the owner of those results, of the benefits and the nourishment and the clothing and the housing that you receive because of the work that you have done. You are the owner of your actions. Okay, that's where property rights derives from. Is from the fact that you own yourself and you're responsible for yourself. You're responsible for your actions. And part of being responsible is not just only if you harm somebody else, that some kind of recompense or justice or whatever has to be meted out, but just also for on the more positive side is that for the beneficial things that you do for yourself, so long as you don't violate other people's rights. We have the non-aggression principle in here at hand. That is the only thing that matters. So that is the fact. That is the fact of the matter is that when you work, you are the direct owner of all the results of your efforts. And as soon as somebody comes along and snips off a part of it for themselves, whether it be through brute force, taxation, or whatnot, not only they are violating property rights, they are violating your life. They are evading your life. You cannot. There is no separation between the fact that life is thought and action, and all the property and the material abundance that you achieve through your actions, through the direct work that you've done through yourself or through voluntary trade and cooperation, whether that be a barter society or highly advanced monetary system. It doesn't matter. The principle is still intact. It doesn't matter what the face of it looks like. Whether it's you trade a bushel barrel of apples for grapefruits or whatnot, or it doesn't matter how complex the society becomes. Whether it's multi-million-dollar contracts and between big businesses and whatnot, it doesn't matter whatsoever. And all the multitudes of employees and the vast array of spreadsheets and whatnot. If something as complex, as large as that in a industrial civilization that operates on supply and demand and the division of labor and specialization, or if it's just a simple case of where you happen to crochet a pair of socks and gave it to somebody, you are responsible for your actions. You are the owner of yourself, and the works that you produce, the trade that you engage in with with somebody else, whether they have an advantage over you or not, or they have something that you really want, they hold out on a certain high price, you feel that, well, I want it, I need it, whatever the case may be. You might call it exploitive, but so long as the fact that there is no aggression, physical aggression exerted, property rights is intact. Property rights rest on the fact that you are the owner of yourself. It's indivisible. There's no sundering the two. You can't have one without the other. There is no discussion of trees without acknowledging the forest. The forest is property rights. Trees are the fact that you own yourself. That is the direct link. So that's just scratching the surface and breaking ground for discussion. I just wanted to clarify my position on it. And Victor Pross, anarchist artist, pop goes the culture.